Finished up the pause squatting earlier in the workout. It went okay, especially considering last week I only worked up to 315. It was for higher reps. I think it was for sets of 6, so we went down to sets of 4 this week. But in general, it was pretty good. Got up to 405. It was maybe RP8. I kind of cut it a little under RPE, just so I can facilitate recovery. As I've mentioned before, in my last peak, I did super low volume throughout the peak to deal with my lowered ability to recover from fatigue at this time. And it's lowered because of just stress outside of the gym. Stress has a way of consolidating, and so if you don't manage life stress with workout stress, you're going to start under recovering. So I've had some people ask, how do I schedule? How do I manage a master's program, full-time job, part-time ministry, part-time coaching, and continuing to lift, put out online content, be a father, and be a husband? How do you manage all that? Well, it's tough. I'm a list maker, so I make to-do lists. Whenever I can't remember all the tasks that I have to do, like there's too many of them for me to keep straight, that's when I start making a list. And then I sit down and I get to work, and I knock out as many of those things on that list as I can when I have free time. And so I just kind of always keep working. I don't take a ton of time just down. And even my downtime I see as work because it's recovery time. And that's not a bad thing. I don't know. I don't want to waste life waiting around. Now that doesn't mean I don't sit down and watch TV or go through and just watch some YouTube or look at Instagram or whatever else I'm going to do. A lot of those things have come together, and I've posted, and now I do my own content and I manage some of those things while I'm there. But it's also enjoyable. Working out, that's my mental break recovery time, because I'm not thinking about other stuff. Lifting, I go through the same cues, the same thought processes every time I'm lifting. And so it's not that they're the same cues for my whole life. I've changed my cues depending on what the issues are at that time. Right now, for example, on bench press, I'm really focusing on setting my scapula and holding the weight properly in my hands. I've noticed that depending on where the bar rests in my hands, just a slight adjustment can really change how my triceps are activated in the press, especially in my weak range of motion. And so if I can set my hands right, the bar feels so much lighter because I'm really lining up my wrist and my elbow together, and the bar is sitting on my forearm really well. But anyways, that wasn't always a cue that I thought about. Sometimes I used to think plant your feet and arch, and I used to focus more on leg drive, and now I don't focus on leg drive at all. It's just my body naturally does what it's supposed to. I don't have to think about it. I also don't think leg drive is terribly important for the bench press. But when you're managing your life, making lists can help some people, but another thing is just don't get behind. The times when I start to get stressed out is when I procrastinate on something. When I have the opportunity to take care of it, and that's just not that I finally have free time, it's that I actually have time after I've rested, recovered, mentally am charged, and I have the ability to work on something, and instead I choose not to. That's an issue. And also moderating time spent. I like to play, I guess I should say, I do play video games, computer games. I like to play them a little bit. They're enjoyable. I really enjoy doing it, but I don't enjoy spending a ton of time doing it. I'm focused on other things, and I have so little time. I'm always giving up time with something else if I'm going to do that. It's very rare that I actually have just free time, because I'd rather be hanging out with my kid or my wife, or doing something like that. It's just more productive, and so I try not to waste time. That's really what it comes down to. You run out of time during the week, but you'd be surprised how much time there is if you're working on things consistently. And even if you just start setting aside an hour a day that you're wasting maybe just watching TV or going to a bar or whatever, set that time aside instead for being productive. It's kind of interesting what you can do with 7 hours a week if you did an hour a day. 7 hours a week, week after week after week after week. You might find that you have time to start up a part-time business, or you might find that you have time to go back to school, or you might find that you have more time for meal prep, or other things like that. On that note, meal prep is one of those things that really takes a large chunk of time, so make meals in bulk if you can. I am a big fan of chicken shakes. Over the last 5 months, by cleaning up my diet, by having 2 meals as chicken shakes instead of like cereal or just dessert type junk food. I've done a body weight, my body weight stayed the same, but my body fat has done a 3% drop approximately. So I was really happy with that. It went from something like 18.9%, 18.8, something like that, into the 15s, 15.7 or something. I forget the exact numbers, but it was a pretty good swing on body fat. I was pretty happy with that. I'd really like at some point to get down to like 12% or 10% body fat, and see what I actually look like kind of under this other stuff in here. But I don't know. We'll see if that ever comes up in my training where I can do that. It would be interesting to do just to show what powerlifting and powerlifting only has done to my body over the past, 4 years now. Because there's so much discussion of bodybuilding style workouts and powerlifting, and I mean, there are things you do if you're going to compete in bodybuilding that are different, and you can certainly add in some more isolation exercises than you would with the power lifts. But if you look at somebody like a Lane Norton or something, you can be a really good natural bodybuilder and still focus on power lifts. And especially as people who are novice or intermediate, getting strong and building muscle with those compound movements is awesome. And so I highly recommend those. You're not going to get bigger powerlifting if you're doing a good amount of volume and you have good nutrition. So I'm not the biggest person by any means, but I'm not small either. And so at 6 foot, I've done pretty good with the body that I have, and walk around day-to-day life 235 at 15% body fat. And I don't know, I've been working out for maybe 13 years, 14 years maybe. I don't know how far, it might be 12 or 13, I can't remember. I took a couple years off in my college years. But anyways, over a decade of work, so I mean, it's not like it's just going to show up overnight. But yeah, take it for what it is. Anyways, well, I've been going on for a little bit. I'll have definitely played some workout footage over this, so it's not a 20-minute video. But pause squats went good today. Bench press went good today. 475 moved pretty well. 455 moved pretty well. But I think I might have actually been happiest about the 430 or the 335 because it moved so good at lockout. I don't know what happened on that 335. I'm gonna have to figure it out. But lockout on that thing was awesome. So we'll see how bench progresses. I have no idea what to expect. I just kind of take it as it is with RPE training, but it would be great to get up above 475 for some of these RPE 9 singles in the coming weeks. And I still have quite a few of them to go, so we'll see what happens. In any case, I hope wherever you're at, you're doing well. Blessings.